If lately you've been feeling lost, uninspired, or stuck, like you're living the same routines, making the same choices, and somehow becoming less and less excited with your own life, you might need a rebrand. Because maybe the problem isn't that you're lost, maybe your current identity has simply expired. So bestie, grab your coffee or whatever emotional support drink you prefer, because we need to talk. When we think about rebranding ourselves, we usually begin with our appearance, which, listen, I fully support, but if underneath the new outfit you still have the same habits, the same standards, and the same beliefs about what you're capable of, that isn't a rebrand. That's your old identity in a better outfit. A real rebrand goes way deeper than how you present yourself. It changes how you think, what you tolerate, what you think you deserve, and what kind of life you believe is available to you. So I want you to start thinking about you as a project, which I know sounds slightly corporate, but you are the brand. And today we're creating the strategy behind who you're becoming. But first, we need to understand why you want to change in the first place. Brands don't usually rebrand just because they're bored one Tuesday and think, you know what, let's make everything beige. They rebrand when their current identity no longer represents where they're going, or it's limiting what's possible for their future. The same thing can happen to us. Every identity gives you something, but it also has a price. Your current version is not your enemy. She may have protected you, kept you safe, or brought you all the way here. We don't need to drag her, okay? She was doing her best. But she may now be keeping you small. We can appreciate her and still admit that it's time for an upgrade. Because the price of staying the same might look like opportunities you never pursue, standards you never raise, or a life you keep postponing because it doesn't feel possible for you. But maybe your current identity has simply reached this limit. Personally, I've reached that point more than once since moving to Germany. In 3 years, I've rebranded myself more times than Taylor Swift. And somehow I'm doing it again right now. And each time the change began with the same realization. The version of me who got me here could not take me where I wanted to go. For most of my life, I was the nice girl in the background. And that wasn't just a cute little personality description. Staying in the background felt safe, but it also costed me the life I secretly wanted. Your rebrand shouldn't only be driven by who you want to become, it should also be driven by what you're no longer willing to lose. Now that we know why you want to change, we need to look at what we're actually working with. A good rebrand needs direction. You can't just blindly start changing random things and hope that somehow you will end up with your dream life. Before a company rebrand, it looks at what already exists. It's kind of like laying out the blueprint. It doesn't automatically throw everything away, including the parts that were already working. It decides what still represents the company, what needs to evolve, and what it has outgrown. We're gonna do the same thing. We have 3 categories: keep, upgrade, leave behind. First, ask yourself, where do I feel stuck or unfulfilled? What am I tolerating that I know I shouldn't be or I don't want to tolerate? Which habits, choices, or patterns keep me in the same place? Write down everything standing between you and the life you keep saying you want. Because what you're not changing, you're choosing. And honestly, this part can feel a little uncomfortable because suddenly you see all the ways you've been participating in a life you don't actually want. I know, I also don't enjoy hearing it. But the rebrand is not only about finding what's wrong, it's also about recognizing what's already working. So now write down the good things. What do I genuinely love about myself? This is a non-negotiable, okay? You must answer to this question. Also, what has helped me get this far? What are my talents, my interests? What values still feel true to me? What parts of myself do I absolutely want to bring with me into my next chapter? Then look at what doesn't need to disappear but needs to be improved. Because this isn't about abandoning yourself and performing as someone you're not. If your rebrand isn't rooted in something authentic, it won't last. We're not creating a new person from nothing, we're finding a solid ground to build on. And if you need a little help finding that solid ground, I created a free Glow Up Starter Guide. It helps you reflect where you are now, clarifying who you're becoming, and start translating that vision into real change. You can download it through the link in the description. Okay, now we get to the fun part. Who is this next version of you? Every strong brand has a clear identity. Its language, energy, visuals, and decisions all communicate the same message, even when the brand isn't directly telling you what to think about it. Your brand isn't only how you look, it's the entire operating system behind how you make decisions, what you tolerate, and how you show up in your life. For most of my life, my operating system was basically stay safe, be kind, avoid attention, do not inconvenience anybody. ever. Very peaceful. Now I'm dancing, building my own personal brand, traveling alone, and actively pursuing the life I want, all while documenting my journey in front of a camera. Quite a plot twist for someone who basically spent her whole life trying not to be noticed. If you had shown the old me who I am today, I would have probably just assumed that you had the wrong girl. Like, nah. She was so far outside of what I believed was possible for me that honestly, I could not even imagine her. But I didn't magically wake up as her one morning. I had to build her. So ask yourself, what message do I want to communicate about myself? What energy do I want to carry? How do I want to feel in my everyday life? And how I want others to feel about me? Choose 3 to 5 words that describe the identity you want to build. And don't begin with, what does she wear? That's just the surface, okay? What's underneath that layer? Maybe you want to be magnetic, courageous, creative, elegant. Maybe it's disciplined or self-respecting, unapologetic. That was 7, but who counts it? And don't choose words just because they look pretty on a vision board. Ask what they would actually look like in your everyday life. If you want to be confident, what does confidence look like for you? If you want to be self-respecting, what do you stop tolerating? If you want to be creative, are you actually creating or you're just saving inspiration on Pinterest? The goal is to turn each word into something you can practice. These are less cute than random inspirational words, but much more useful. These are standards I can use to make decisions. And now, finally, we can open Pinterest, because this is the part where we give the identity a visual language. So create a mood board that visually represents your rebrand, because no, your new operating system cannot run with the same old design. But this shouldn't be just a collection of pretty pictures that look good together. It should represent how you want your next chapter to feel. So when I first started rebranding myself, I didn't really know who I wanted to become. Honestly, I was so uninspired by me and my life that I didn't even really have a direction where I wanted to go. I just knew that the way I was living didn't really feel like me anymore. So I opened Pinterest and just started browsing randomly. I didn't overthink it, I just saved whatever made me feel something. I simply noticed which images created an emotional reaction in me. Then, once I looked at everything together, patterns started emerging. Certain colors, environments, clothes, activities, and energies kept appearing. And this is how this channel was born. The mood board gave a visual language to feelings I didn't really know yet how to express. So start saving everything that makes you feel something, even if you don't immediately understand why. What colors, textures, or environments keep appearing? Which images make me feel most alive or inspired? What kind of life can give me the feeling I crave? Or if her energy had a scent, a soundtrack, or an atmosphere, what would it be? Now let me tell you a secret. The person you want to be is already you. I know that can be hard to believe when all the evidence around you seems to point in another direction. Your habits, your skills, or results might not reflect her yet, but if that version of you had absolutely nothing to do with who you are, why would you feel so drawn to her? Why can you picture her so clearly? If you didn't have any connection to that version of you, you wouldn't have these desires, dreams, or visions in the first place. Period. She isn't some random stranger you have to invent from nothing. She's built from qualities, desires, and potential that already exist within you. And no, that doesn't mean you can lie in bed and say, she's already me 3 times, and magically wake up with her life. Unfortunately, we still have to do things. Annoying, I know. But you don't have to wait until you feel confident, successful, or ready before you allow yourself to access her. In fact, you access her every time you choose to embody her in the life you're living right now. So the question becomes, how would she show up today? And this is how we turn the identity into proof. You cannot just change the packaging, write new era and call it a day. Eventually, your new identity has to appear in your behavior. So how would she dress? How would she walk, talk, make decisions? What kind of decisions she would make? Describe your new identity in details and then start rehearsing those behaviors. It isn't about pretending to be somebody else, it's about practicing a version of yourself until it starts to feel natural. And yes, it may feel awkward in the beginning, but unfamiliar doesn't mean it's fake. Sometimes it just means it's new. But we make it believable through proof. Every action becomes a vote for the identity you're building, whether that's joining the dance class, posting the video, applying for the opportunity, or keeping a promise to yourself. It doesn't have to be a dramatic, life-changing decision every day. In fact, most of the evidence will look incredibly small. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your new identity, you give your brain another reason to believe that this is who you are. And you don't have to wake up tomorrow as a completely unrecognizable person. You just have to become a little more like the person you promised yourself path you'd be, one decision at a time. And if you want a practical plan for turning this identity into a full transformation over the next 90 days, watch this video next. See you there!